And now from the perspective of food and society, we are going to look into some of the classification of food that proposed by several society or races. So in the first classification, we are going to see into the classification that has been brought forward by the Chinese. So as you can see here, the classification of Yin and Yang, the Yin and Yang concept itself is a very common in our society, as we have Chinese in our mixed race in this country. So the theory of Yin and Yang is founded in ancient China. So since the Chinese view the world dialectically, it means that everything has the everything holds the phenomena that consists of two opposite aspects, which is yin and yang, which are variously defined as up or down, left and right, and light and darkness, hot and cold, stillness and movement, substance and function, and etc. So the movement and the changes of yin and yang give the rise to the development of everything in this world. So as you can see here, the yin usually has its own characteristic, and yang has its own characteristic. So according to the yin and yang theory, everything in the universe can be divided into these two opposite but complementary aspects of yin and yang. Things that are said to contain a lot of yang energy tend to be warm, strong, masculine, bright, while the yin is usually associated with things that are feminine, cool, soft, and dark. However, it is important to note that both yin and yang are present in everything. So when we say something is yin or something is yang, we mean those things in a relative term. It means there is nothing in this world that is purely yin, and there is nothing in this world that is purely yang. So as you can see here, yin is associated with expansive, while yang is associated with contractive, hot, more heat, more sodium, and grow below soil. Whereas the yin is the opposite of the yang, less heat, less salt, potassium, and grow above soil. So this is the example when they are translated into food. But usually yin and yang classification is more concentrated into the medicine practices. So Chinese medicine define the energy of food as hot, cold, warm, cool, and neutral. So hot and warm food are yang food, while cool and cold food are yin food. So it is the same definition as our body constitution, where we have hot and warm body as well as cool and cold body. So usually when we talk about the yin classification, yin and yang classification of food, yang food tend to be sweet, spicy, or pungent, and have warm colors such as red or orange, and often they are dry and come from the soil. Some examples include potatoes, papaya, chili peppers, and lamb meat. While in contrast, yin food are usually bitter or salty. Generally, they have a higher moisture content and tend to be green or cool tone in color. Moreover, when we see the food in terms of yin, food grown in the water tend to be yin food. Example is like cucumber, tofu, lotus, and soy sauce. In addition, different cooking methods also have yin and yang association. Like frying and roasting are considered yang, whereas boiling and steaming can be considered as a yin component. So according to traditional Chinese medicine, one's spiritual, physical, and emotional well-being are all regulated by the balance of yin and yang in the body. So when the emotional well-being are all regulated by the balance of yin and yang in the body, so a deficiency or excess of yin and yang will definitely throw the body off the kilter, which lead to bodily and spiritual ailment, which means that we are going to become more easily sick when there is a deficiency or excess of yin and yang. So when we are discussing about the yin and yang classification of food, so the cooking method of using yin and yang is centered around the concept of balance. This means that the different ingredients work together to achieve balance in flavor such as sweet, sour, spicy, bitter, and salty, texture, and cooking style. So in order to have a good balance in terms of yin and yang, a good mix of vegetable, meat, and starch is needed. So dry dishes such as when we can see that spicy stir fry should be complemented by congee or soup in order to have a balance yin and yang. When we see in terms of Chinese cooking, even when they are trying to have a balance of yin and yang, the Chinese chef will even pay attention to the balance of color in the meal. For example, when they are dicing the meat, the diced meat should be accompanied by vegetable with a contrasting color such as bell pepper or scallion. So that's why when you see Chinese cooking, they have usually they have a very contrasting color in their food preparation as a way to balance their yin and yang element inside their food.